The USEF rules for the Andalusian and Lusitano horses were written by the IALHA to encompass both the Spanish and the Portuguese bloodlines and any mixture of those two bloodlines. There were only minor differences in their descriptions from Spain and Portugal. In this video, we will discuss Andalusian horses, which include all three bloodlines, the Spanish, the Portuguese, and the Spanish-Portuguese mixture. All of these horses in the U.S. are shown together in the AL breeding and halter classes as well as in the performance divisions. The unique conformation of the Andalusian horse was shaped by the different ways he has been used over the last 1,000 or more years. To understand the conformation of the Andalusian horse, you must first understand what the breed is physically designed to do. There are many equine breeds in the world, but none designed to function exactly like the Andalusian. They are unique and versatile performance horses that have exceptionally strong bones, with legs set well under the body that aids them in their instant maneuverability and flexibility. Good slope to the shoulder, deep heart girth, round, powerful haunches, and gaits that are smooth without sacrificing agility and strength. Conformation dictates the abilities of how a horse moves and performs. A basic knowledge of anatomy will help you understand what you see on the surface and how it impacts the hallmarks unique to the Andalusian breed, flexibility and instant maneuverability. Each part of a horse must blend with the whole to create a horse that can function at maximum efficiency. A horse is only as strong as its weakest link. A strong shoulder, coupled with an inferior hindquarter, will lessen the ability of that shoulder to function to its full potential, just as the effect of a strong driving hindquarter will be diluted if the horse has a poorly positioned shoulder. The most important aspect of correct conformation is balance. Within the parameter of correctness, there is room for varying builds, but the conformation needs to be balanced for the individual. Equine structure can be divided into simple geometrical forms with each part fitting into the overall frame. Let's look at some diagrams that will help illustrate how to analyze and understand balance when evaluating conformation. Bones are the framework and the levers. The muscles and tendons move the bones. Figure 1 illustrates what we will call the ideal. This horse is well balanced and should have the physical abilities to do the jobs that the Andalusian horse was designed to do. Most equine experts agree that when viewing the conformation of a riding horse from the profile, that you should be able to visualize a square that is formed from the point of the shoulder to the point of the buttock, and from the withers to the ground, so that the large square, as shown in this figure, is formed. In a correct Andalusian horse, the body can be divided vertically into 3 equal areas and horizontally into 4 equal areas. So we will add a grid to our ideal horse. These divisions are a good method of visually discerning if a horse has balanced structure in the body. The 3 vertical areas are the neck and shoulder, the back, and the hindquarters. The vertical lines separating these areas should be at the center of the withers and at the hip. The four horizontal areas are withers to point of shoulder to girth, girth to center of knee to ground. These areas divide the horse into four 25% each equal areas from the ground to the withers. The withers to girth should comprise approximately 50% of the height of the horse, and the legs the other 50%. A diamond is also formed by the point of the chest and the point of the buttock when connected to point Z and point X. Point Z is an additional 25% of the horse's body height above the withers, and point X an additional 25% to the middle of the knees. This diamond also creates the guidelines for the ideal angles of the shoulder and the hip. The angles indicate approximately where the back of the front legs meet the body and where the stifle joint is located. The front legs should set well under the body, and the center of the front legs should only divide area 1. The slope of the front pastern should match the shoulder angle of 45 degrees, with the angle of the hind pastern usually just slightly steeper. The muscling in the forearm should be wide, deep, and long, in the same basic overall size as the gaskin area. The cannons should be shorter than the forearm, and the center of the front knee should straddle the line between areas 3 and 4. The forearm is where all the muscles located in the leg and the ability to elevate and reach originate. There are only bones, ligaments, and tendons below the knee. Andalusians have a slightly longer cannon bone than other breeds, but adding excessive length to this area lessens their strength. The back should be short and strong to help propel the horse and carry weight well. The point of buttock to point of hip should be long and well muscled and comprise the final 1/3 of the total body length. The back of the hind leg, from the hock to the feltlock, should line up with the point of the buttock when the horse is standing square with his cannons perpendicular to the ground. The croup should be long and powerful, as it is part of the motor that drives the horse and allows the front end to lift and reach. The hind leg should have a long thigh with the stifle somewhat low in good angulations. This helps create a strong coiling of the hindquarters that produces suspension. The croup should be rounded, viewed from the side and from the rear. A tail carried close to the body goes along with a soft, supple back and loins. A rounded croup denotes a rounded sacrum that aids the hindquarters to flex and carry weight well. Now that we have looked at our ideal horse, divided into simple geometrical forms, let's look at some other figures with various deviations from the ideal represented by Figure 1 and see what happens. Figure 2. Figure 2 is very similar to the horse in Figure 1. You have seen this type of build winning in the show ring and may think that there's nothing really wrong with such structure. But look closer and the problems appear, especially if your goal is to continue creating and preserving the athleticism that the Andalusian horse is famous for. The point of the buttocks is now above the grid line. This occurs because Figure 2 has a flat croup and a higher set hip and tail. Horses with this type of croup are not going to have the degree of agility and flexibility in the hindquarters as the horse in Figure 1. The Andalusian horse is noted for its flexibility and power and control. The design of the croup plays a very important part in these abilities. To help give you a clearer picture of what happens to the structure of the croup in the hindquarters, here is Figure 2 with the skeleton added. Note that the point of the buttocks is now above the grid line. And here is Figure 1 with the skeleton added. Now the point of the buttocks is at the grid line. The rounded croup and low-set tail are very important traits that contribute to the permanent relaxation of the top line. They are essential to the abilities for collection that are so easy for the Andalusian horse. Here is a comparison of Figure 1 and Figure 2. Figure 3. Figure 3 is out of balance because of a long back and a short croup. The lines between areas 2 and 3 no longer bisect the back and the hip correctly. This horse will lack power in the hindquarters because of the shortened croup, and the long back will cause a weakened loin, which will interfere with the superior collection and agility of this horse, and he will lack the strength to hold the body in prolonged collected positions without creating tension. This horse will also lack the power to generate good extension. Here is a comparison of Figure 1 and Figure 3. Figure 4. The horse in Figure 4 is too long in the leg and narrow in the chest. The added length of leg will restrict the amount of elevation or lift in the front end and the coiling abilities of the hindquarters. The lack of depth in the chest and shoulder creates restrictions to lung capacity and endurance. Depth of girth structurally helps the strength of the back. This horse also lacks depth in the gaskin area because of the excessive length in the leg. Here is a comparison of Figure 1 and Figure 4. Figure 5. Figure 5 has a straight shoulder and low-set neck. Pay particular attention to the distortion of the diamond. Instead of the line from the shoulder coming out at the girth, it comes out at the back of the forearm. And note where the lines meet at point X and Z. The center of gravity has been moved forward. The front legs no longer set under the body as in Figure 1 because of a shorter true arm. The length and direction of the Andalusian's true arm is what gives the impression that the forearm starts further back and makes the chest so prominent looking. It is also an important element in the superior ability of the Andalusian to lift its front legs and extend them with power and spring, yet remaining very soft and supple in his gaits. Here is a comparison of Figure 1 and Figure 5. Figure 6. Again, pay attention to the distorted diamond. Figure 6 has a straight shoulder, low set neck, and a swan neck. If the neck is very curved towards the head, the second cervical vertebra, it is called a swan neck. A swan neck is a desirable characteristic for some breeds, such as the Arabian, but it is not a desirable characteristic for an Andalusian, as it tends to make the neck somewhat less stable for the instant changes of direction required when doing work the Andalusian horse was bred for. One of the contributing factors that gives the Andalusian horse its unique round appearance is that the neck achieves its characteristic arch by the processes of the third and fourth vertebrae, which make the arch more accentuated towards the middle part of the neck. A swan neck gives a false impression of height to the forehand. Here is a comparison of Figure 1 and Figure 6. Figure 7. Figure 7 has a high croup and the point of the hip is too high. This horse will be heavy in front and it would be difficult to keep the saddle from interfering with the already overloaded shoulders. Here is a comparison of Figure 1 and Figure 7. Figure 8. Figure 8 has a long back. The diamond becomes much more elongated. This horse will have trouble gathering that length into the coiled spring that is so typical of the Andalusian. He will be weak in the loin area and will not be able to use his back properly. Here is a comparison of Figure 1 and Figure 8. Figure 9. Figure 9's croup slopes too abruptly and has lost its roundness, and the tail is set too low. The extreme drop in his tail setting may even give the impression that he is lowering even more behind than the others, but it is purely an optical illusion. This horse will be able to coil up like a spring, but his ability to extend will be severely hampered. The Andalusian horse should be able to extend as well as collect at all paces coiling and uncoiling the spring. Here is a comparison of Figure 1 and Figure 9. Is a horse uphill or downhill? The immediate impression of whether a horse is built uphill or downhill can be misleading. We need to look at the underlying bone structure of the horse. The point of the buttocks indicates the position of the deep-seated junction of the pelvic girdle and the femur. Find the halfway point between the point of the withers and the point of the shoulder. The relationship between these points is what tells us if the horse is actually standing uphill or downhill. This is Figure 1, the figure of our ideal Andalusian horse, with the long sloping shoulder and the lowest hip and buttocks. The skeletal structure clearly shows these, even though his croup is not greatly lower than his withers. The crosses indicate that he is standing uphill. This is Figure 2, with the corresponding changes to the skeletal structure. Figure 2 has a croup which seems much lower than the wither, but the croup is flat. The hip high set and the point of the buttocks is also high. Even though this horse appears to be standing more uphill than Figure 1, when we look at the underlying structure, we see that he is, in fact, built downhill. Let's talk about the importance of a good shoulder. To help you understand how to look at and analyze good shoulder angles, let's take another look at Figure 1. Take a straight edge and place it on the line of the diamond on the shoulder, and draw a line from the top of the diamond to the ground. Then draw another line along the ground and mark where those two lines intersect. That intersection will give you a pretty good idea what the maximum length of stride the horse in Figure 1 will be capable of achieving, barring any other limiting conformation traits. By using the same method, it is apparent that the horse in Figure 6 will be hindered in its stride because of the steep angle of the shoulder. Combine that with other limiting conformation factors such as the high set croup and long back, and potential for efficient stride is further decreased. Using this same method, look at photos and draw these lines on the photo. It will help develop your eye for analyzing shoulder conformation and the potential length of stride for that horse. The USEF rule for movement. AL 102.4. The horse is known for agile movements, elevated, extended, harmonious, and cadenced. The horse has great facility to adopt various aptitudes and to conquer difficulties as if with special predisposition for collection and turns over the haunches. Let's take a closer look at understanding the terminology of this description. Agile movements, moving with quickness and ease. Elevated, to lift, raise, make higher. Extended, to make longer, stretch out. Harmonious, fitting or blending together in an orderly or pleasing way. Cadenced, flow or rhythm with a regular beat. Watch these movement clips and think about agile movements, elevated, extended, harmonious, and cadenced. These horses all fit the descriptions outlined in the rules. Each one moves slightly different, but they are all within the parameters of the written description. Five walks, starting with very good to acceptable. Very good length of stride, soft and supple in the back and loins, creating engagement that shows a good overreach of the hind foot into the front hoof print. Length of stride good, shorter overreach of the hind step. Shorter length of stride. Overreach does not make it to the front hoof print because of stiffness in the back and loins. Length of stride too short, does not track up sufficiently and not using back correctly. Stiff in the back and hocks, not tracking up with the hind steps. Three trots. The first two very good, the third acceptable. Visualize the terminology in the USEF rulebook for the Andalusian horse. Agile movements, elevated, extended, harmonious, and cadenced. This horse's movement is not as agile or cadenced as the first two horses. He has a tendency to get unbalanced, causing him to use his front legs in an uneven manner. Although you have been watching horses move in a slowed motion, you will find that it trains the eye to recognize things in real time a lot quicker. So let's look at the third horse in real time as well as slowed motion. Let's look at some photos, and using the same methods that we used on the various diagrams, draw lines on them. It will help develop your eye for analyzing the various aspects of conformation that have been discussed in this video. See how close they fit into the box or the grid. Of withers to girth, girth to the ground, cannons to forearm, potential length of stride, and other aspects of conformation shown in this video. I think you will find the results very interesting. Now, mentally check the balance on the following horses. To get more practice, start drawing the grids and lines on photos of Andalusian horses. It is a great learning tool that will become second nature to you, and you will find that you will start visually using this procedure without having to draw grids or lines. Always remember, the Andalusian horse should be instantly recognizable for his breed type and be the smoothest, most flexible horse with elevation and reach in his gaits of any horse in the equine world. Only through the selection of the